This is post Sonoma race. Just off rip, I'll say it was pretty average. Maybe a little bit, tiny bit above average. A straightforward road course race with an ass whooping in it. SVG not only dominated Chicago, but then came to Sonoma, where a lot of people thought it would be a little bit more even, at least since a lot of NASCAR guys have multiple races there. And he still not only was able to jump pit a stage and still win that stage, he won the race at the end. And he could have won the Xfinity race too if it was anyone besides Connor Zilic. I highly think he's just gonna buff him out of the way, and SVG wins the Xfinity and Cup Series race. But especially because of how he kind of shut Connor Zilic off in the Chicago race, in the Xfinity, I feel like he was given a little bit of space this race, a little bit of I'm sorry maybe, because it was hard racing in Chicago, but Connor Zilic did seem a little bit agitated by it. I'm sure they talked about it. I'm sure he really wasn't that mad, but SVG definitely seemed to not push the manner when he was behind Connor at the end. And it also shows that Connor is on not his skill level, but close to it, and probably has the potential to be SVG on road courses. I don't know, because SVG just might be the best road course NASCAR driver of all time. I've seen that debate a lot. It makes sense. It's a worthy debate, especially already. Jeff Gordon's name is thrown out, Tony Stewart, and while they have a lot of road course wins and a lot less chances to do so, this is also the most competition they have ever had. And it goes to show, seeing SVG come to Chicago and win the first race, that he is just in a level by himself. He stepped in that car for the first time, that track for the first time, and he won. And then he's came to NASCAR and only shown more that he's going to whoop people's ass when it comes to the road courses. Unless he's taken out like Chicago last year, or pit stop mess up, or I'm just trying to think of all the things that would be a problem that he didn't cause, because I don't think he's ever going to sell a road course race. He should be the favorite for all of them. But, it's NASCAR. Engines give out, tires give out, pit stop crews mess up, and even he could do speeding and pit lane. But if it's a straightforward race, I highly doubt anybody, especially in the short term, is going to beat SVG. SVG also now winning his third race in the year, I think tied for the most. He is third in playoff points if the playoffs started today, and that could get him through the first round alone, depending on who the competition is, if a couple more winners get in. And then if he makes it to round 2, he can win that road course. Do I think a Final Four is really an option? No. It would surprise me if he makes it all the way. Do I see him ever getting there? I could. He's made a lot of advances already in the ovals. He's obviously a capable driver, and drivers of his talent usually can learn different disciplines. And so, if he gets better at the ovals and becomes not garbage really, or not bottom 20, he has a chance to make the final round of the playoffs and possibly the Final Four. It's just, especially right now with the way it is ending at Phoenix, I highly doubt he will ever beat out one of the top 3 teams, Penske, JGR, and Hendrick. I highly doubt he will outrun them. It's hard to beat these guys that have been doing it their whole lives. I'm going to talk about Connor Zilic. I really like Connor Zilic. He is someone that, when I turn on the Xfinity races, I'm rooting for to win. When he makes a Cup start, I'm watching. I have a special eye watching him, because I just think he is one of those Chase Elliott's, Kyle Larson's, the generational almost talents. It's almost so unique that he has the specialty in road courses like SVG, where when wins mean so much, he has such a great chance to win on those tracks. And, we've seen him win Pocono. That was his first oval. And that's not necessarily the first oval you see a lot of guys win at. It's a harder oval. It's niche. There's not any other tracks like it. And he was able to win it in his first time, I think, ever stepping foot at Pocono. So, it goes to show that he has this pure talent, has pure speed. He seems to have a cool head. He never seems to really get flustered. He seems cool behind the wheel. And, I think if it was maybe a couple years before, I'd say it's too early. But like we've seen with the SVG this year, and what a lot of drivers have said, Kyle Larson criticized the Xfinity for not being they don't have as much growth as they used to, and they're coming into the Cup Series underprepared. I don't know what exact quote was, and it's partly because this next gen is just so different, and it's not really a stock car like the Xfinity cars are, and so there's almost no point in him having that extra time in the Xfinity seat, because none of it will translate to the Cup. So you might as well, that's what we've seen with Hocevar. Some of these guys, he skipped Xfinity. William Byron, even earlier skipped Xfinity. And so you're seeing the development ranks, if you have that talent to be you spend less time developing because they need to get you in the equipment, because nothing else is like it. Trucks don't race like it. Xfinity doesn't race like it. The only things that race like the next gen is the next gen. He can't even hop in a late model. They are just so different now. And so I get why they'd want to part ways with Suarez. I get why they'd want to have Connor Zilisch in the seat. And I think it's honestly probably the best choice. Trackhouse, recently it's been kind of, besides SVG and the road courses, they have been kind of at a stalemate. And I think Connor Zilich's talent, youthfulness, all of that will just help that team so much more. It'll give them a 1A star driver. Like right now with Ross Chastain, he made the Final Four a couple years ago. SVG is going to be a top 2 for every road course that ever comes in it, that he races in. And I still think when Connor joins the Cup Series, he will be their main focus. I just think he has, pretty much both their talents, Ross and SVG's. He has the talent to have both their skills combined, the road course acumen and the oval acumen. And it's just awesome to see. We need some new younger guys coming up making noise. I love what Carson Hocevar has done. John Hunter Nemechek, he's been good. Ty Gibbs. But we just haven't seen this new generation crack the corner and win yet. And if Connor Zilisch was the first one to win out of Ty Gibbs, John Hunter Nemechek, and Carson Hocevar, I would not be shocked, because he has that future in him. I picked Kyle Larson. It's been pretty poor, his starts, and I thought Sonoma might be the spot where he just knows how to drive it so well. Something is going on with him. We have not seen him ever have this kind of slump. And, maybe it is just a slump, and by playoff time, he gets back rolling. But it just seems like too many of these guys, like Byron, Bell, Larson, Elliott won a couple weeks ago, but even him, they're scoring some points, especially Elliott, regular season points, but they're not chasing for the win in the last couple months almost that you expect them to. And, Kyle Larson, he had that horrible month of May, and it's not something you can overlook, because that is when he started taking the dip. And I thought maybe just getting away from the Indy car, getting back into his sprint car, getting back into his next-gen car, I thought that would help him. And he's even won a sprint car race, maybe 2, since then. And I thought that would maybe be when NASCAR kind of opens back up for him, he has that confidence, but it hasn't translated. It's almost bizarre seeing him run that low and not be a factor in all these races, because when you bring up the next race, oh, Kyle Larson's probably going to be in the mix because you expect him to, but just the way he's been running, it's almost dumbfounding. I think he'd say the same thing. I don't know. It's probably just a mental thing, and every NASCAR driver goes through little dips and goes through challenges. It's just never been Larson before. He's never had that kind of dip since he's moved to Hendrick, at least. And we might be all blowing it out of proportions because everyone, like I said, everyone does have these bad weeks and bad months and downturns. It's just almost worrying that Larson started off this year so good, and now after Indy, he almost doesn't even look like a Final Four contender again. And before the month of May, I would have easily said he's a championship favorite, let alone to make the final round. I really don't know what he needs. I don't know. I want to say he needs to go win a race, but that is just so easier said than done. And so I'm almost thinking, just get 2 top 5s, 2 top 10s, get something. They at least have to get the ball rolling before playoffs come, or else they will be in the same place they were last year, just having bad playoff races and getting stuck behind the points line. Byron, I mentioned I looked for him to have a good race. He did. Ty Gibbs also had a great race again. He had a little bit of a scuffle, and I think he's a little like I've been saying with Hocevar, because we know he kind of can be a jackass. When he does things that look jackassery, you kind of expect it to be him just because it's his routine almost. Ty Gibbs though, Hocevar is on the track. Ty Gibbs does dumb stuff. The pit lane incident wasn't penalized by NASCAR, by the rule book, but human to human wise, racer to racer, we all know that was a bad play for Ty Gibbs. It seems like just some frustration, obviously, but when you're at the Cup Series level, when you're supposed to be this Cup Series winner, be fighting for championships, have one of the best cars in the garage, you've got to act smarter. You've got to act like you've earned this spot. You can't be taking. Even he had the problem with Buescher, and then went to the 6th pit. And I just think if you're gonna pay someone back, it's got to be himself, his car on the track. Taking it out on a teammate's crew guy is just beyond me. And I probably wouldn't have parked him. I wouldn't have done anything like that. But he deserves a fine, and I'm definitely talking to him if I'm in NASCAR. He's gotta. If I'm JGR, I'm talking to him, because I just don't want that being seen as what my racers do. If I was Joe Gibbs and that was my grandson, I'm whooping his ass. There's no shot he's gonna have JGR, JG, my initials, and him run like that and do something that idiotic. It's so sad. He has so much talent, and he could be easily a fan favorite if some of the stuff he did in Xfinity was changed. And he seemed to have turned the corner when he made it to Cup. A lot of that was happening less, but he relapsed. Ty Dillon, his March Madness continues to go on. I love it. I think it is awesome for NASCAR that we have someone like him having the possibility to win. It's like I've said, March Madness, when the number 16 team goes to the Final Four. I just think that's something like this is what is supposed to happen with this in-season tournament. So, and it's been a great addition. I truly believe that. Time has passed. I have had and beaten an illness since I've recorded the last video. I've got to finish Sonoma, and then I will do Dover and more. But I'll give it. Some of the races recently have just been kind of mid. None have been bad. None have been great, and I think that's where Sonoma falls in. So like 7 out of 10. Good. I wouldn't say barn burner. I wouldn't say classic. Just what you would want most of the 36 races in the season to be. Dover next week, concrete. New tire. Look for my vote. It's gonna be Denny Hamlin. I think he will win next race. At Dover. He's the king of it, and it's gonna be a lot like Nashville. It's gonna be a lot like Nashville. And I think Denny won this race last year. It's just kind of his track. It's old, concrete, new tire. That it sets everything up for him to be just like when we go to a road course, a street race. That's automatically SVG. When you automatically put in a new tire, concrete, you got to look at Denny, and especially when it's the Monster Mile. And I think it'll be another good race. I don't know if it'll be great. I don't think it'll be bad, and so I'm hopeful. I think that'll finish this video. Again, getting it out late. I have been sick. We'll put it out as soon as possible. Thank you.